Millions of Americans await a decision that could change history and vastly alter the direction of this nation going forward.
The Supreme Court is expected to rule on the president's health care reform by the end of next week. So tonight, we want to introduce you to a couple of very different groups right here in the Valley, hoping for very different results. Matt King is live in the studio with our story.
Roland, premiums on health insurance increased 3 times faster than wages this last decade. That's left anyone without employer coverage overpaying or going without. If health care reform sticks around, that latter option will disappear.
Call us Mom and Dad.
We first introduced you to Christine and Rick Brown last February. Browns run a small business providing designated drivers for those too drunk to wheel their own vehicles. The president's health care overhaul forces Americans like the Browns, who can't rely on a corporate employer to provide insurance, to purchase their own. Something Christine says she can't afford.
It's just so out of reach. It's out of touch with reality.
One Boise man who applauds the reforms works here at the Family Medicine Residency of Idaho.
If the Affordable Care Act gets repealed, it'll make our job harder.
Dr. Ted Epperly used to preside over the American Academy of Family Physicians. He's met the president 6 times, and he worries for his patients should the Supreme Court repeal health care reform.
If the Affordable Care Act goes down, we've got a mess.
Safety net clinics like Epperly's treat Medicaid and Medicare recipients, the uninsured, refugees, and anyone who can't find health care elsewhere. The Affordable Care Act will bring those centers additional funding, allowing them to help far more patients. Christine wants that same bill repealed, but does support broader health care reform. Just not this one.
If they don't bring those insurance premiums down, small businesses cannot afford it. It'll put the small business right out.
The schism driven into this nation by perhaps the most polarizing piece of legislation since civil rights on display right here at home. Each side believing the wrong decision on the part of the Supreme Court will set back our union for years to come.
The Affordable Care Act is something that I think is very good for the people of not only our county and our city and our state, but also for the United States.
The small business is the heart and soul of Idaho. It's what keeps people going.
That Supreme Court's decision could have come down as soon as today. If not tomorrow, we may have to wait a little. The Supreme Court often releases its more important decisions later in the week. Live in studio, Matt King, Fox 9 News at 9.
More than